We go from one defensive-minded head coach to another defensive-minded head coach there. East Carolina head coach Michael Schwartz in his first season. It's really a brand new era for East Carolina men's basketball. But take a look here at what they did last season. They finished 500 overall, 6-11 in the American, finishing there at 9th place, and ended up dropping a game there in the first round to Cincinnati. Played tough, but really, what's it going to take here in year one for Coach Schwartz? What's going to be his biggest challenge?
You know, what I like about Coach Schwartz is I like guys that decide to do something different. While everybody is looking at the transfer portal to build their roster, Coach Schwartz went in the exact opposite direction, where he actually went and looked at high school to build from the ground up and build, again, that foundation that he can build moving toward the future. That's very unusual in college basketball today, as everyone looks for a quick fix. There's no quick fix at East Carolina. Right. It's got to be done the right way, the long way. And that's exactly what Coach Schwartz is bringing to the table.
Yeah, he wants to build locally, find that North Carolina talent. And he's also getting a great transfer in Jaden Walker, who comes from Iowa State. He should be getting some more time. And then I want to see the defensive end, Brandon Johnson, a big guy, former defensive end football player. He's disruptive. I love to see football players turn into hoopers.
He comes from Tennessee under head coach Rick Barnes. And when you think Coach Barnes, you think player development, something that he's going to be doing there in East Carolina. And we now have the pleasure to welcome in the first-year head coach, Michael Schwartz. Coach, when you take a look here, thanks so much for joining us. When you take a look here at your brand new team, what is it? How are you going to measure success in year one?
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I think the first thing is that since we got here in April is we're trying to just establish our standards and who we want to be as a program, and particularly on the defensive end. So right now, that is where we've measured our success this preseason, is what we've been able to accomplish execution-wise on defense.
Okay, we'll go to questions from the media now. We have a couple in the queue already. Again, use the raise hand feature in the Zoom to join the queue. And we'll start with Patrick Johnson, please, from 943 The Game in Greenville.
All right, great stuff. Thank you so much, Coach. Always great to see you. So far in the preseason, what has been the point of emphasis, maybe outside of defense? I know, I don't want to say it's going to be a challenge, but I know finding that emerging leading scorer, too, has been a point of emphasis. So how is that process going?
Well, I wouldn't worry as much about the scorer part, but the leading part is where the emphasis has been. Is we're trying to figure out who can provide leadership on this team. And I give a lot of credit to the guys that came back from last season and that were here at ECU prior to me arriving. So when I think about guys like R.J. Felton, Javon Small, Brandon Johnson, and even though Wynston Tabbs has not been fully cleared yet, he's provided great leadership. So right now, the biggest thing that we're looking for this preseason is to decide as a team who can provide some veteran leadership.
We'll go next to Stephen Igo, please, from Voice of the Colors, 24/7 Sports.
Coach, as you look to build this thing at East Carolina, how important is it to have that defensive mentality or just that backbone to always hang your hat on no matter what the status is of injured players or scoring going into a game? You always know if you play defense, you'll have that possibility of competing on any given day.
Yeah, Stephen, that's a big thing. Is that just something we can count on that we don't think is going to vary night to night? And I don't know if that means we'll be at our best defensively every night. I sure hope that's what we want to be, and that's the standard we're trying to set. But definitely from a defensive standpoint, that's what we want to be the backbone of our team and the foundation of our program.
We'll go next to John Titel, please, Hoops HD.
Good morning, Coach. I was going to ask about defense, too, until I noticed that your director of player personnel is one of 9 players ever to lead the NCAA in scoring for 2 straight years. So what does Reggie Williams bring to your team?
Well, Reggie's been awesome. We're so excited to have him here as a part of our staff. And obviously he had a great collegiate career and as well as an NBA career and then overseas playing at a very high level. But more than anything, what Reggie does is he brings a great sense of credibility to our coaching staff. Our guys have seen him play in the NBA. They know what he did in college. And being able to communicate with the guys about what we're trying to accomplish, he has a very unique way and great way of doing it.
And a follow-up from Patrick Johnson, please.
Coach, it's a tough schedule, especially in the pre-conference portion of it. Some challenging environments you'll go to, but I think some things that fans can be excited about. So, what would you tell Pirate fans, about what you expect out of this sort of pre-conference schedule and the challenges that you'll face with it?
Well, the first thing I'd say is everybody knows, and obviously the preseason predictions and all that, and what we have seen from the media and other coaches in the league, we know we lack experience. That's not something that we are going to be in the upper tier in the country. We'll actually probably be one of the least experienced teams in terms of minutes returning, points, statistics, etc., in the country. So with that, the only way to get experience, Patrick, is to get experience. So you got to play. So the experience we get will provide more and more as the season goes. From a standpoint of the conference schedule, non-conference, we wanted a challenging non-conference schedule to prepare us for one of the absolute best basketball conferences in the country. So with that being said, we know that hopefully we're getting better in November, December, and we can be playing some of our best basketball as we get in the conference.
Take the next one from Patrick Mason, please, from the Daily Reflector.
Hey, Coach. With so much up in the air just in terms of minutes-wise and maybe rotations and stuff, like how reliant have you been on competition, and how has kind of competition drove practices so far?
Well, I think when Jaden and Wynston get up here, you can ask them, but basically our whole practice is competition. Everything we do is competition, from whether it's conditioning, breakdown drills, or obviously 5-on-5 and playing up and down. So competition is everything. And I've said this before, that I don't think it matters if we're fortunate enough to have any success or build this program and get to where we want it to be or where we envision. Competition will always be a staple of what we do in practice every day. And it doesn't matter once we even have a rotation set or when a lineup is set. I think you're always competing, because that's what's going to keep you sharp.
Follow-up from Stephen Igo, please.
Coach, you kind of alluded to it earlier, but the preseason poll came out. You guys were picked 11th out of 11 teams. Do you look at that, use it as motivation, or is it something you just ignore at the end of the day?
I think a number 11 is number 1 twice, so it's probably a good thing. We look at it and we know, but in the end of the day, whether you are picked first or you're picked 11th or you're picked somewhere in the middle, you have to go out and do it. And obviously we will take it as a motivating factor, but if we don't have a chip on our shoulder anyways, it doesn't matter what expectations are. So, we recognize it, and we've talked about it with our team, but in the end of the day, you have to go out there, and just like the team that will be picked first in our conference, they got to go out there and do it.
Coach Schwartz, I was so excited to talk to you. I just jumped in on everybody right there, but I appreciate you hanging in with me here, and also welcome to the American and welcome to East Carolina as well. You mentioned Wynston Tabbs earlier. What is his status, and what does he mean to your program in your first year of rebuilding?
Well, Wynston's status is this. He is coming along great. He has worked really hard this summer, preseason, and he's getting close to being fully cleared for contact. He's not quite there yet, but he's on the court a lot, and he's just about crossed that threshold. In terms of what he means to us, here's what Wynston has done. He has provided great leadership and a great stability factor in terms of talking to our guys, because he's been through it. He's been through it at a high level at Boston College. He's experienced one season here, albeit with an injury, and didn't get on the court. But he understands the intensity and the mindset every day in practice. And he's done an excellent job with it as he gets himself healthy. And, I know coaches and players alike can't wait for him to be back out there.
Hey, Coach Schwartz, Brooke Weisbrod here in the studio as well. Looking forward to seeing what the new captain for the Pirates brings to the table this year. I have a non-basketball question for you, if that's okay. I see that you went to Beverly Hills High School, and I'm curious, I think I know the answer to this, but who the most famous person that you went to high school with is?
Oh, my goodness. I don't know who the most famous is, to be honest. I haven't thought about it in such a long time. I think that a TV show gave it such a different reality of what it actually was. You said, Brooke, that you know who it is. Maybe you can tell me.
Well, I think she was in a class or two ahead of you, but wasn't it Angelina Jolie?
You know what? She was ahead of me. And you know what, Brooke? I wasn't one of those guys that had friendships or able to hang out with females like Angelina Jolie. So that wasn't really in my wheelhouse. So kind of my buds and my good people were on the basketball team with me. I kind of wish I was able to know her a little bit.
Yeah, I bet.
Coach, thank you for the time. Really appreciate you joining us, and welcome to the American.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
When I listened to Coach Schwartz, one of the things that really stood out was the competition, the level that he runs at practice. Practice like you play, right? What else really stood out in that conversation from a first-year head coach?
Well, first of all, Angelina Jolie is a has-been. All right, so Michael Schwartz is a now personality. So the most famous person at Beverly Hills High School right now is Michael Schwartz in East Carolina. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Well, as far as East Carolina goes, I think he's doing it the Rick Barnes way, and the lessons that he's learned from Rick Barnes as an assistant coach at Texas and at Tennessee. And it's, again, now we also have to understand, that's why I asked about Tab, because it's not about the X's and O's, it's about the Jimmies and Joes. When you look at Houston and the depth of Houston, the depth of Temple, Tulane, and who they've got coming back, that's where you're trying to get to. And East Carolina, if they can add a key factor to that roster, he's been injured. He's coming back now. If he stays healthy, I mean, I saw the kid play at Boston College. That dude can play. And so that gives them a go-to guy. A guy like R.J. Felton comes back, averages 5 points a game, gives them stability in the backcourt. But right now, they need to get a little bit of a break here with Wynston Tabbs. If that happens, then East Carolina can defend their home court. Remember, it's hard to win there. I mean, I've done a bunch of games there over the years, and I've seen Cincinnati go down there. I've seen Memphis go down there. I've seen good teams go in to East Carolina and lose. But you got to have some Jimmies and Joes to do it. And right now, there aren't a lot of them on his roster, but that'll build as time comes along. But you need to have one break, and I think Wynston Tabbs is that one break that's crucial for them.
And you mentioned the Rick Barnes coaching tree. So we know this team's going to be in shape, right? If you come from that era, you have to be able to play in shape at a high level, intense, big-time defense, and just passionate, right? That's where the Jimmies and Joes, I think, comes in as well. That other guy could be Jaden Walker. And we talked about him. He's the transfer from Iowa State. He's shown up in big games at Kansas, Texas. He likes to show up when those lights are bright, and that's what you have to do to break into a conference like this. You want to compete with Houston. You want to compete with Memphis. You got to be that guy, and Jaden Walker could be him as well.
And with all those young players that he's added to the roster, you've got to have that leadership as well of guys that have been there, done that, and played in those big barns.
Yeah.
It's really impressive how he was able to re-recruit 5 of those guys who were there, but also what he did in the transfer portal. And now let's hear from 2 of those players at East Carolina. We've talked a lot about Wynston Tabbs and Jaden Walker. Hello, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're now going to send it on over to Chuck Sullivan with the American, who has some questions from the media.
All right, thanks, Morgan. And again, we'll go right to questions from members of the media. Please use the raise hand feature in the Zoom to join the queue. And we'll start with Stephen Igo, please, from Hoist the Colors.
Wynston, I just want to ask about your road back from your injuries, man. I know it's been a rough road, but what's it kind of been like to almost be back at the finish line of getting fully cleared and having to fight through so much rehab and everything?
It's been a struggle. I definitely taken like some time to just take in everything. The process has been long, some dark days, some good days. Really taking in the small wins helped me to stay patient. And now I'm on the other side of that, so I'm getting close to being cleared. And I'm just ready to play.
Take the next one from Patrick Johnson, please, 94.3 The Game.
Guys, as you have gotten things started up here, respectively, in the preseason and with Coach Schwartz, what would you tell fans, and what can you tell us maybe about some of the things that you feel like Coach Schwartz has brought to the program and that maybe some of the newcomers, much like yourselves in some cases, have brought to the program?
Definitely a family atmosphere. Team chemistry is great. we're definitely, we'll be competing every game with whoever we play, and just taking it game by game.
Jaden, anything you could add to that? What Coach Schwartz has brought to the program?
Definitely bringing a defensive mentality every day, always competing, bringing leadership and, just winning the day.
Okay, we'll take the next one from Patrick Mason, please, from the Daily Reflector.
Hey, Jaden, coming from, the Big 12 Iowa State program, I'm kind of curious if you've seen any similarities with how Coach Schwartz, runs practice and just kind of gets you guys ready for what should be a, interesting season.
Definitely the competitiveness. I don't really see a difference. The AAC is also another great conference in the country. Just attacking the day every day, bringing leadership, and I'm trying to bring as much experience as I can.
Back to Stephen Igo, please, for a follow-up.
Jaden, watching some of your highlights at Iowa State, you were a very defensive-oriented player at times. How have you transitioned to that side of the ball here at ECU? Is that something you really take pride in?
Oh, absolutely. That's something that I take a lot of pride in, trying to be the best defensive player on the floor. And then that's something Coach Schwartz emphasizes every day.
Christopher Heidel, please, Herb FM Radio.
Hey, this question's for Wynston. This is Chris Heidel from Herb FM Radio in Baltimore, Maryland. So you played some time in Boston College, and now you're here at East Carolina. What did you learn from playing in Boston College? I know the injuries didn't really help you out. And what did you in your time growing up in the D.C. area?
Growing up in the DMV, there's a lot of great hoopers. So it's very competitive, and even getting on AAU teams, and playing at Boston College, it really showed me how to play correct basketball. Our schedule and our record didn't really show how much we learned, but I think in the long run it'll help me a lot. So just bringing that experience to the team will just help a lot.
We'll take one more from Patrick Johnson, please.
Wynston, one of many people watching this sent in something to me here and wanted me to ask just kind of about your major and maybe some of your plans in the future, post-graduation down the road and all that.
Right now I'm a communication major, planning to graduate and get my cybersecurity certificate.
Wynston, Jaden, thank you both so much for your time. Really looking forward to seeing you guys get things going on November 8th against Mercer.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.